contentious.
that is a force to be reckoned with. Imagine
Disco King Mario, a forgotten founder of hip-hop, written by Gregor Scott. Mario was one of the most famous DJs in the Bronx in the early 70s. The one who held the largest parties, could bring DJs into the Bronx like no one else, who was playing park jams before his contemporaries. A member of the Black Spades gang, and one of the Class 1 now called proto-hip-hop DJs. The Disco King Mario. Mario occupies an odd space in music history. He wasn't a big mobile DJ, like a DJ Hollywood or Grandmaster Flowers Disco Twins, or New Sounds, nor was he a resident club DJ, like a Francis Grosso. He doesn't have claims to techniques that drove the art form forwards, like Herc or Flash. By many accounts he wasn't even a particularly good DJ, not technically anyway. What Mario had, and what Mario could provide though, were pivotal to bringing music to those who would become the first wave of hip-hop kids. He was a black spade, not just any black spade though. Mario was born in North Carolina in 1956, but moved to the Bronxdale houses, in the South Bronx, as a teenager. As the story goes, the Black Spades gang was founded around 1968 at the Bronxdale houses, and by all accounts, Mario was a member from their inception. As the Spades grew, so Mario's power and influence grew. Across the borough, his connections, and his position within the Spades provided two things. Firstly, security. You could feel safe at Mario's, while there were risks that shut down other parties. This enabled him, and his contemporaries within the organization, like Kool to play all over the Bronx in a way others couldn't manage at the time. As Kool Herc noted back in 1989, having the gangs on your side was the difference in having success. Davey D. How did the whole party scene start with hip-hop? Kool Herc. It started coming together as far as the gangs, terrorizing a lot of known discothics back in the days. I had respect from a lot of the gang members because they used to go to school with me. Guys knew me because I carried myself with respect and I respected them. I played what they liked and acknowledged their neighborhood when they came to my party. And secondly, that security allowed him to book venues that were off limits to his peers. Not only was he able to play parks across the borough, but he was able to secure venues, and therefore start charging for parties that other DJs had no hope of even booking. Mario was the first DJ to book a party at High School 123, a venue later frequented by a whole cadre of early hip-hop acts, including Afrika Bambaata, DJs Breakout and Baron, both of the Funky 4-1, Grand Wizard Theodore, of the Fantastic Five, and Grandmaster Flash. All of this provides context for why I believe Mario and Kool deserve more credit in our telling of hip-hop's story. The nature of Kool and Mario being all borough, as it were, is that they were the ones to inspire the next wave of DJs. An often mythologized aspect of the Afrika Bambaata story was his ability to go anywhere in the Bronx, but that was just as true for other members of the Black Spades, at the height of their powers, and doesn't make him unique in his ability to cross neighborhood lines. Kool mentions this in an interview with Layla Wills, noting that him and Mario being visible to all of these kids, while playing park jams, was doubtless a catalyst for at least some of them to pick up DJing as an art. And the reason we could do that is we was Black Spades, Kool with Layla Wills. As told in Jeff Chang's book, which might be the best rounded brief history we have, authorities had long abandoned parts of the Bronx, crowd control was always going to be an issue. There were still turfs, Bambaata says, and you still had violence. This gives more credence to the idea that gang affiliation was a pivotal piece of being successful in those early years. As hip-hop was budding, without the strength required to enforce your own law when necessary, you could quickly be squashed. Before you began, and coming out of the late 60s and early 70s, where gang violence was at its peak, the other key to Mario and hip-hop's success was the support from the community. As Jazzy J tells it, we had the support of the whole community. It's like, we'd rather see them doing that, doing something constructive than to be down the block beating each other upside the head. Mario inspired a lot of brothers to get out in the park. Before that, all we would do in the park was play ball or fight. Michael Wayne TV, talking about Mario. So far, I've talked about Mario and his position within the movement, but his influence on other artists can't be forgotten. A couple of key members of hip-hop's first generation owe part of their success to Mario, and as much should be recognized. Firstly, Afrika Bambaata, as both were members of the Spades, and both were DJs. There's a clear link between Mario and Bambaata, as told in Yes Yes Y'all by DJ Baron. We were going back and forth, and all of a sudden you couldn't hear us. No more laughs, 'cause Bam borrowed his amp from Mario and blew us out of the water. Just drowns us out totally. In the early days of hip-hop, these DJ sound clashes set the hierarchy very clearly. And while Bambaata went on to achieve a lot more in his career, stories like this emphasize that no one man can build an empire. And then there's the chief rocker Busy Bee, probably best known for his part in the movie Wild Style, and his infamous battle with Kool D. As Busy Bee notes, I went from Disco King Mario to Breakout. I was like, yo, that's what I want to do, and quat. From there, Busy hooked up with a DJ by the name of Disco King Mario, who helped the rapper develop his unique, booming, sing-song voice. And quat, Disco King Mario had the system to understand my voice, and quat, Busy says, Mario's influence totals to bringing music across the Bronx, showing the next generation that DJing was an art to carry forward. His influence was gaining access to venues and monetizing these parties, showing the way for established DJs to keep doing it and make it a job, a career. His influence was helping out Bambaata early in his career. His influence was setting Busy Bee on the road to stardom in the late 70s. And so, all told, why don't we talk about Mario more often? As seems an all too familiar tale when talking about people in this era, Mario fell into addiction problems and passed away in '94. And so much like Grandmaster Flowers, he now has to rely on those who are left behind to defend his legacy. All of this to me shows that Mario is as important to hip-hop as Herc, Flash, and Bambaata. I've long heard the name in passing, but his undoubtable place in history is too often glossed over. Before they had a name for hip-hop, they had Disco King Mario, jamming in the park.
Contentious and the reality.